Hello everybody and welcome to today's session in the Get Unstuck series. I'm Sarah Archer. I am a career and leadership coach and I work with female leaders to create the right kind of career success for them without burning out or selling out. And I do that through working with them around career acceleration, career change and boosting career confidence, influence and impact. And I created the Get Unstuck series to give female leaders 15 minutes in, I'm sure, a really busy working week to think about something related to their career. And so there's a whole variety of topics that I cover. And if you've got suggestions for me, please do DM me. I'm always open for new topics. But I wanted to kind of create something that's very practical, very easy to fit into your working day, and it gives you things you can take away and implement straight away. So if you're joining me live, please do say hello. It's always really nice to know people are with me. If you've got questions about the topic today or comments, pop them into the chat and I will answer them as we go along. And if you're watching on replay, hello. And again, just tag me into the question and I will come back and answer the question for you. So today's topic, it's an interesting one, isn't it? So are you peaking or plateauing in your leadership career? Because the symptoms, and I call them symptoms, can present as very similar. So sometimes it can be hard to recognize, am I peaking? Am I at the top of my game? Or am I just plateauing here? Because it could be that, you just feel really, really competent at your job. You just know you're good at what you do, and you know that you're not going to get phased by any situation. You feel really confident that you can handle whatever comes at you. And also that sense of maybe there's not so much challenge, that you've achieved everything you want to achieve. And maybe there isn't that much you can learn, that actually you've ticked off a huge amount in the role that you're doing. So you can see why you could think you're peaking, and you could also think that you're plateauing. And I know when I was in my last HR director role, before I changed careers, I was certainly in the plateauing phase, in that all those things that I've just described definitely applied to me. And I also couldn't see myself in another HRD role. I just couldn't visualize that occurring. I knew that, something for me had to change dramatically. Now, when you're peaking and plateauing, it doesn't always result in a career change. That can happen, but it doesn't have to mean that. And we're going to explore this topic in a bit more detail because it's important to understand how you can recognize the difference. So how do I know whether I'm peaking, or how do I know whether I'm actually plateauing? And for me, that difference comes through energetically. So it's how you're showing up energetically. Because if you're peaking, then your energy is going to be high and you're going to be really excited about potential projects, pieces of work, meetings, challenges. You're going to be feeling really positive and you're going to get energy from the activities that you're doing as well. Whereas if you're plateauing, your energy is going to be different. It's going to be less dynamic. It's going to be a bit more, okay, same old, or, perhaps sparks of little energy. But on the whole, it's kind of like business as usual. And so for me, that is how you tell whether actually I'm peaking or I'm plateauing. And what I thought it would be useful to think about is why you might be plateauing. If you're identifying that actually maybe plateauing is maybe more where I'm at, we're going to talk about how you move forward in both of those scenarios, but just to kind of understand what's going on when you're plateauing, because there are actually, I think it's five different types of plateau that you could be experiencing. And it's helpful to recognize which one applies to you, because then that helps you make decisions about moving forward. And you probably didn't realize there were different types of plateau that you could experience. So the first one is a structural plateau. And that is where the organization just doesn't have structurally any opportunities for you. So it's probably that it's quite a flat structure, or it's a small organization. I did some work with an organization a couple of years ago around having career conversations, because they had a very flat structure and people couldn't see career paths within that structure, and it was resulting in quite high turnover. And so what they did was look for other ways to give their staff career development opportunities when they couldn't give them those opportunities structurally in terms of promotion. So it might be that you're on a structural plateau. There's just no opportunity to move anywhere in the organisation, either sideways or upwards. The second type of plateau is a content plateau, and that's where you're very good at what you do, and there's just no challenge left in it. So the content of your job is causing the plateau, in that you've just become really, really competent, and there's just nowhere else to go in this particular role. You're stuck on this kind of content plateau of, yeah, I'm really good at what I do, but there's nothing really left for me to develop in this role. Then we've got a contribution plateau, and this is where the plateau is within your control, but you're for some reason choosing not to do anything about the fact you're plateauing. So it might be boredom, it might be fear of change, it might be lack of engagement in your career, but you have stopped looking for opportunities to develop yourself or to progress in any way. You've just kind of almost disengaged a bit from your career, disengaged a bit from your job. And this is actually probably the most dangerous plateau to be on, because if you don't take action, then you're just going to become more and more resistant to change, more and more resistant to moving off or out of that plateau. So if you can recognize that actually it's more of an internal stuff that's going on that's stopping me getting off this plateau, then you definitely want to kind of thinking about, okay, what do I want to do? Because I've got some choices here. Then we've got the life plateau, and that is where we have chosen to plateau because it might be that we've got caring responsibilities. Often this happens to women, particularly when you become a mum. You just can't give both your kind of family life and your career life all of the energy that you have, and so you choose to plateau for a while, maybe while your kids are very little. So your career just takes sort of a little bit of a backseat because energetically you just don't have more to give to kind of both areas of your life. And we're going to talk about what you do if you're on that life plateau, because there's things you can do to make that plateau we can say more bearable, but kind of, you can tolerate the plateauing. It can also be where you've got other caring responsibilities outside of work. Maybe you've got elderly parents or other dependents who are relying on you, and therefore you are choosing to plateau for a period of time. I feel like I've missed a plateau out, but maybe I haven't. And then you've got the voluntary plateau, where you just really love what you do. So you're voluntarily staying on that plateau in a different way to the life plateau, because this is about you actually really love what you do, and you don't want to go to that next level because it's going to take you away from your sort of specialism, your expertise. So if you're in a leadership role, it might be, say, you are a marketing leader, marketing director, and maybe the next step up for you would be going for maybe a chief exec role, which is maybe more of a generalist role. It takes you away from your specialism. So you're choosing to plateau in your specialism. You're voluntarily staying in your specialism because you don't want to progress any further if it takes you away from your specialism. Or if you haven't got into leadership yet, it might be that you want to stay a specialist and progress in that area, rather than taking on a leadership role, which might take you away from more of your specialist roles. So the 5 different types of plateau, it's useful to think about which one am I on, because then I can know perhaps what I've got to do. And obviously if you're peaking, that's a great place to be, but it's easy to tip from peaking into plateauing. So you do want to be, paying attention to staying in peak mode or getting ready to move if you're starting to perhaps plateau in that role. So thinking about what next, I would say that whether you're peaking or plateauing, you need a plan. It doesn't have to be, a detailed plan. It's a plan that works for you, but you need some sort of plan so you're not drifting or continuing to plateau in a way that doesn't make you feel great. So the plan could be around, okay, if I'm plateauing, maybe I'm on a life plateau, I'm going to put in regular points where I'm just going to review what do I need to do to give me something that makes me feel more engaged with what I'm doing while I'm plateauing. So, if you're on a life plateau, then you want to still be learning things. You want to be getting opportunities that are going to be helpful to your career. You want to be having the chance to participate in things that are going to stretch you a little bit. Obviously, if you're choosing to plateau, if you're on a life plateau, you don't want too much stress because you've got other things going on in your life. But you do want to be positioning yourself so that when you're ready to re-engage with your career in a different way, you are not starting from zero. You're already, collected skills and experiences and knowledge that's going to be helpful when you're ready to move forward in your career. If you're peaking, you might be setting yourself reviews that you're going to just do a check-in. Okay, am I still peaking? Am I tipping into plateau? When do I need to start thinking about taking on something that's going to give me more enjoyment or stretch, or when I need to be thinking about making my next shift? So it's just not drifting, it's having a kind of a check system in place to check that you're not losing momentum or tipping into plateauing. Obviously, if you're stuck on a sideways plateau, if you're stuck in a structural plateau, then you do want to be thinking about, if there really are no opportunities to develop in my organisation, what am I going to do? Am I going to make a sideways move maybe into a larger organisation that has more opportunity? Am I going to be thinking about maybe moving up a level, maybe in a smaller organisation that I definitely have the kind of skills and capabilities to do that role, but not allowing the structure of the current organisation to impede your ability to get to that peak point in your career? And again, just going back to the life plateau, that's maybe about just redefining your career success for that period. So particularly if you're somebody who's very ambitious, then it's about, okay, my priorities for this period of my life are X, but the things I'm going to do along the way that's going to make me feel joy in my work are A, B, C. So you're just kind of reframing your success criteria. And also, whether you're peaking or plateauing, you want to be strategic about your positioning and your networking. So you still want to be thinking about how you are presenting your brand, how you are positioning yourself in terms of opportunities, who your network is, how you can grow that network. Do you want to be thinking about finding mentors, those kind of things? So you still want to be paying attention to those elements that are really important in your career, and that I've done lots and lots of different lives on. So you can always go back and watch a live around kind of positioning, around leadership brand, around having presence, around visibility. They're all on my LinkedIn profile in the events section, or they're on my YouTube channel, Career Tree Coaching. So you can always go and watch some of that. And also, if you're peaking, you want to be taking advantage of that success. So creating time to think about your positioning and your networking as well. So have a think about, am I peaking? Am I plateauing? What's my energy like? If I'm plateauing, what kind of plateau am I on? And what does that mean in terms of me moving forward? And if I'm peaking, am I putting review points in so that I'm checking in whether I'm maintaining my peak or whether I'm tipping into a plateau? And obviously, if this is something that you want some support on, then message me and we can book in a breakthrough call where we can look at, if you're plateauing, what you need to do, or if you're peaking, what you need to do to keep your career on track to get to where you want to be. So have a great week. I'm not doing a live next week because I'm on holiday. So I'll be back the last week of October with another live, and I will see you all then. So have a great time at work, doing whatever you're doing between now and then. And I will see you soon.